you are just an idiot to predict against T1. Like, everything is telling me that AL is better, but I still feel like you have to predict T1 because of the magic. Just say it with me.
Not everything is saying
because of the magic.
Not everything is
because of the magic.
Because of the magic. Hello and welcome back to The Dive, driven by Kia, Season 9, Episode 37. We are on the road. Azael is in a completely different room, recording in his own hotel room for sure. We made it to Shanghai, and Meteos is holding it down from LA.
Yeah, I haven't had to travel all day like you guys, but I'm kind of a little jet lagged, even though I haven't traveled because, I've been on the world schedule, staying up all night. And then just yesterday, my half brother had his wedding, which was, during the day, obviously. So, I was up for that as well. Huh?
He didn't do the 4 a.m. wedding for you?
No, he could have at least planned it around Worlds a little better, but
no.
Yeah, I was telling him, but I guess he's just not thinking about me. But it was a lot of fun, although my sleep is lacking. So we're just gonna make do with that.
Well, at least your half brother didn't have to watch FlyQuest bomb out at Worlds because we suck again. It's actually so sad. North America, we're the first region eliminated. Everybody gets to trash talk again. Go ahead, everyone. Leave it in the comments. Blame us again. And it's actually just so sad the way that FlyQuest went out because it looked really bad and it did not look anything like what we have seen from them from even MSI and then back to last year's Worlds. And so that was really sad. The 100 Thieves actually looked way better and had a way happier story. They got a way more difficult schedule, but they were still able to, beat BLG, even though BLG hasn't looked very good. But yeah, we're fresh off the FlyQuest Band-Aid getting ripped off.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's just really sad to me is that not that they lost, but more like, I'm sad that they lost, but it's more the way in which they lost. They just looked so horrible. And I just see, I got so many tweets. I just have so many people tweeting at me being like, nah, this is how they always were. They've always been shit. They're biased and blah, blah, blah. And they never accomplished anything. And so many people are tweeting this. And I just feel like it's such revisionist history bullshit. And people always like to do this where it's like, yeah, we were never saying they won Worlds or they were going to win Worlds. We're saying that they had been the best performing Western team and that they have been competitive with the Eastern teams. And that's what the baseline I was kind of expecting coming into this was that they would, be able to maintain the consistency they've had, right? Because for the last year, they've been very consistent. They went to Worlds, they went 5 games against Gen.G, they went to MSI, they went 5 games against BLG, they 3-0'd G2. They lost to a lot of Eastern teams too, but they at least looked competitive in those games and in those series. And I just feel like it sucks that this is the last time we will see this roster, and this is the last time we're going to get to see this FlyQuest, and that people are kind of pretending that they were never any good, right? No one's saying that they're T1, but I think it's unfair to just wipe away the fact that they actually have been very competitive against some really good teams. And it's just, it sucks. It sucks that this is kind of the way that this roster is going out. And I hope that people won't remember it, for only this, right?
Yeah, I wonder if some of those comments are rage bait in a way, unironically, before this tournament, after MSI, I was starting to feel bad for EU. I was actually starting to feel bad because we had been winning over them for so long that it didn't even seem like they were getting upset and bantering. They just seemed depressed. So, in a way it's okay, this is good for EU. They got to win every once in a while. But I will say I'm definitely with you there that just the way FlyQuest lost was so disappointing. They've always been our best team for at least over a year. They've been really consistent, which is something that has been nice to rally behind. It's they're going to bring this high level of play. They're going to play efficiently and, just play to their strengths and whatnot. And then what we saw against CFO in G2 to an extent was just weird, man. Like, I don't get it. They like there were definitely some picks that really were making me scratch my head. Like they were pulling out Jin when no one else was playing him. He looked mad useless. The Soraka actually tilted me super hard. Um, and like there were multiple times where I think Bard was available and Boosted just wasn't picking it. So yeah, it was just really, really weird to me. For them to go out like that. It was super disappointing. And one other thing that I only thought about recently was that both of our teams, like I mean, I guess it seems to be the general perception that this FlyQuest roster is not going to stick together. I think it's still like
I think
somewhat
their
rumors
GM
by now,
literally
but
tweeted it out instantly. Their GM, like after they lost, like instantly said, like, pretty much this is this is the end. We're gonna make changes.
yeah. So I mean, it seems pretty clear that this is going to be this roster's last run altogether like that. So it kind of sucks that two of our teams that got Worlds experience are just not going to be teams anymore, right? Because to me, that's always been one thing that's been really tough for the region. And it's like, I think, part of what makes players really good, like, I think one reason why G2 has been good for a long time is because Caps, right? He's like, he goes to all the international tournaments, he gets to see all this different stuff, and then he's able to help teach his newer teammates. It's like, okay, this is what the best teams in the world do. I understand why it works this way because I've played against it. Because I can say without a doubt, when you see a top team play, like, on stream or whatever, it's infinitely different from actually playing against them. You'll understand why certain things happen the way they do. Because it's like, you might be watching it and be like, oh, dude, like, why are they picking this into this? Like, it's so bad. Or like, why is he building this? Or like, why are they contesting like this? And in your head, it's like, oh, these guys are just stupid and I would be way better at it. But then you actually try it and you realize the error of it, right? So like that experience is so valuable for these teams and just leveling up the region. And then just both of our teams from Worlds this year are, probably not going to stick together. So hopefully that experience gets to stay in some way with players finding new teams and whatnot. But yeah, that part made me kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, I feel I feel pretty bad for a lot of the individual players because there were some pretty bad individual plays too. Like you're saying, I would pretty much guarantee neither of these teams are sticking together. 100 Thieves obviously can't. And then, like Azael said, the Andy Barton basically tweeted out. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I got his tweet right here. He said this was like minutes after they lost too, which I thought was a little bit weird to be honest. But he said, at this point we've accomplished a lot together, but it's clear we are broken. There will be changes. We'll be coming back stronger. Sorry to fans for a disappointing run at Worlds this year. So yeah, like minutes after the Nexus blew up, it's like we're gonna make changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
go ahead.
so weird, man. We've seen this kind of implosion from North American teams at Worlds before. This is like nothing new for the fans. Kind of like it was the normal for a while. And yeah, I think nobody expected it out of FlyQuest. They were like our hope and pride in a way for like their past international results. And then, just seeing it go back to that really sucks. And it just, I get it, it's not just NA or EU. Like, I think this is something that you see time and time again at Worlds specifically because it's like the stakes are so high. And I think from just like the practice leading up to it, that can be really hard for teams. I think Inspired mentioned it at some point where he said, they'd been like losing a lot of scrims and losing confidence in how they were playing. And so, that is how it goes. And then, you'll lose confidence in yourself, you'll lose confidence in your teammates, and then you start feeling like, hey, I can't just do what I know to be good to win the game. I'm going to have to like take more risks, do weirder stuff. Like my best isn't good enough. So I'm going to have to try to like,
in game.
yeah, exactly. You start thinking like, okay, my plan A isn't working. So now I'm just going to like go off the course and just that's rarely ever good. Probably never good. So yeah, that's where the tilt comes from. And yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams have completely different energies as far as like trying to stick together. I feel like the 100 Thieves players actually kind of would want to stick together. It feels like this FlyQuest team though is kind of split from the inside with some of the how they're playing and what they're looking like. which is why the energies for the two teams are just completely different. For 100 Thieves, I actually felt really good about their run, even though it obviously really hit them hard to lose as well. If you saw FBI's interview he did with the China Youth outlet, I definitely encourage you to go look that up because he was very open, emotional, wiping tears from his eyes, and it meant a lot to Dokla as well. He was having fun with it the whole ride, everything that goes along with being a pro player. He was leaning into it, making memes, making banger after banger. And 100 Thieves, this is a team that came in with completely different expectations than FlyQuest. We had big expectations for because of last year Worlds, because of MSI, and so there was a lot of like, oh, they're gonna do so good. But 100 Thieves was literally last place in Split 3 after the first phase, and then bringing in Dokla from the coaching role, and then having to scrape through, make their last heist, win after win after win, all of these elimination series that they had in a row, and then they kept doing it, and so they had this underdog momentum behind them, and it was like such a happy story. Even though they got one of the worst draws that you could possibly get at Worlds, some of the hardest draws, they still beat BLG, and they still push T1, look pretty competitive in some of those games, and you could tell they were putting it all out there, they were having fun, and they were playing League of Legends and doing their best. And so I'm definitely sad that that team is exploding, but I feel like a lot of them, if not all of them, are going to find new teams. Of course, River is basically going back to military service, so he probably can't play, even though I'm still trying to find a way to get him a green card. And so, yeah, like the 100 Thieves story, at least, was to me a lot more exciting and fun to follow. Whereas the FlyQuest one is just feels really sad that this is the last that we see of this roster, probably.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, it's like it's not even just the expectations versus reality, but that is a big part of it, right? You're saying, it's 100 Thieves. We don't really expect anything out of them at the event, but they had a super hard draw, and then they played with no fear, which it's like yeah, they were worse than some of these teams, but they're not actually just backing down. They're playing towards their comp. They're playing towards their picks. They're playing melee picks for Quid and going right at T1 and being able to find advantages and stuff. And I mean, the T1 series, it was a bummer because I think there was definitely some individual mistakes, especially from FBI at times that could have allowed them to win those games. But I didn't feel like this team didn't get to show who they were. I felt like they actually showed exactly who they were. And it made it really fun to watch, right? Like they played really aggressive League of Legends. They were going to fight, and that's how they played in NA as well. And I wish that they had gotten the draw that some of these other teams would have gotten. Like I wish they would have gotten FlyQuest draw or the draw that BLG got. BLG got 4 Western teams in a row. They got BKS, 2 EU, and an NA team, and then T1 beat only NAEU teams to get out as well.
By the way, is BLG not the craziest a crash out that you've ever seen? That is actually one of the easiest draws I've ever seen at Worlds. And they're the number 1 seed. That is one of the biggest chokes, failures, crash outs at Worlds ever, man. I mean, we suck. We got eliminated as a whole region. 100%, we deserve all the flame, but BLG, you also suck.
BLG,
Dude,
I think, yeah, the
totally
BLG one is
sucks.
crazy. I mean, BLG, I think it's maybe the worst performance from a top seed in LCK or LPL ever. There was the LGD 2015, but they lost to Korean teams and stuff because of the group stage. But their expectations were so much higher, so I guess there's kind of different because people weren't super hot on LPL this year. But still, the baseline is quarters or semis, right? And they got the easiest possible draws, number 1 seed, and still didn't make it out. So that was definitely crazy. But yeah, I was pretty happy with 100 Thieves, and I will say that beyond just the some of the I don't know the draft things and whatnot for FlyQuest, there was also just so many head scratching moments, right? Like the quad plays. Quad had some shocking plays. I mean, it's really sad because I really like him. He seems like a super nice guy, and he can often play at quite a high level. But when you think to all their biggest moments, it's often quad failing, right? Like when I think back to Game 5 versus Gen.G, it's them forgetting about the Smolder pick and him getting solo killed by Smolder on Yone. And then I think about Game 5 versus BLG, and it's him going Zillion and getting solo killed under his tower versus a Galio. And then I think about them versus CFO in elimination at Worlds, and it's him Talia ulting into the middle of the entire team, jumping off the wrong side of the wall onto Leona and dying when they're at soul point up 3K. And then next game picks Annie and gets solo killed level 3 by a Rise, right? And so it's like he had some horrible moments, horrible moments. That I mean, when that Talia ult happened, I literally felt like my soul was leaving my body. Like I was like feeling sick to my stomach. That was crazy. But that is not to say at all that it was all on him. I felt like both their soul laners really struggled. Bobo had some crazy moments too, like the TP to his tier 1 tower during the Otacon play. Um, I mean, Inspired, I think, had some really impressive games. I mean, against CFO, I thought he was actually smurfing, but he also looked really tilted at times. Not that you can necessarily super blame him, but like I don't know. It just yeah, the team did not play well, and yeah, had some horrible individual moments that prevented us. I think like even with them playing bad, they went 1-2 against G2. I felt like they got outdrafted. There's just so many things where you're like, if this went different, if that went different, it could be a different story. But at the end of the day, they just didn't play well, so they don't deserve to get out.
Yep, that really is all there is to it. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Like talking about that G2 thing again, like I was punching my monitor basically when I saw the Soraka locked in that G2 game. And most people I've talked to seem more like open to it than me. But like when I was watching that pick in game and just like how Soraka is as a champion right now, like I don't know why the hell you would ever pick that champion over anything else. Like it's so criminal. So that definitely like was really tilting to me.
I was also just really
And I feel like it
surprised
kind of
by
started the domino effect. I think they could have won with like anything else.
I mean, also the Rumble from Whippo, who just doesn't play Rumble at all, and then it felt like he missed every equalizer. I mean, there's a lot of stuff with the draft that didn't make sense to me. I think was it game 1 against CFO where they did Alistar on 3 when the other team had picked Rumble, and they could have just done Galio, and then Galio gets banned out, and like they could have played like any support champion, counterpick support on 5, and instead they do this like blind Alistar on 3 that didn't even really feel that important to me, at least because it's game 1, like every engaged champ's up, and then your Galio gets banned out, so you don't have that as the answer. There was just like a lot of things about their drafting that were weird. They had this like obsession with Jin. I mean, I think Jin is totally fine versus some of the comps, but Jin against G2, the one where they were playing against Mundo in this Giga frontline, and you last pick your Jin, just like R5ing Jin in general feels weird because it's not like, I don't know. I just didn't really get it, right? Like if you're on red side and you have this support in Busio who can play these range supports, who can have these really strong dominant lanes and counter picks and stuff, like why are we even last picking 80 carry for just like a generic pick regardless, right? Like there was a lot of stuff about their drafting I didn't like. So it's definitely no one person is at fault. There was a lot of things going wrong, but yeah, definitely super disappointing as an NA fan. And yeah, it just sucks, right? Like it sucks to be the worst region, which we are right now. Like at Worlds, we were the worst region. That's the fact. So we just gotta, I guess, suck it up and hope that we do better next year.
Yep.
Yep. EU can have their fun. Congrats. Man, that sucks. That's always like that's like the side quest for us, which ends up becoming our main quest every time. It's like, we want to win. That's probably going to happen. At least we got to be better than the EU. But nope, we're going to lose to EU and then lose to CFO in an embarrassing fashion, and then we're all eliminated. It's dark times in North America.
By the way, competition is strong now. So like LCP is very clearly are just as good and better.
Just CFO.
CFO are clearly just as good and better at specific times. So it's like it it is going to be a battle every year to not be the first region eliminated, so
Yeah.
it's gonna, I mean, we're gonna go right back to it next year. It's not like there's some kind of canyon though, so it's not, I feel like it's not like the end of the world.
We're 14-6 against the EU since energy. Since that Worlds. Even with this loss.
Also, by the way, this loss is on LTA North, and we're bringing back LCS. So I'm pretty sure the LCS teams are way better than the LTA North teams.
True.
So, I mean, honestly, I feel like next year is going to be good.
We're still keeping the 3-0 from MSI, though. That one goes to LCS.
Yeah. That was a transition period.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count. Oh, dude, one thing is, do you remember, Azael, like, I don't know how long ago, maybe beginning of this split, you were asking about, like, why people aren't doing the Neeko cannon trick dives more, and I didn't really know. I thought, like, maybe there was some reason for it, but at this Worlds, especially, like, CFO in that game 2, people are actually doing it, and that thing is so stupid. Oh my god. Like, what is that? Just
I think they have to change it now.
Dude, that's like a Kali Shroud under turret. That's like Pantheon E blocking turret shots. It's just like fundamentally violating a rule of the game in a way, especially it's just like, it is the most unintuitive interaction ever, right?
It's so like, dumb.
I would guess 99% plus of League players don't know that the cannon minion has some like passive to take less damage from turret shots in that way. So yeah, I don't know, man. That is crazy that, I mean, that it exists, but also the fact that it hasn't been abused as blatantly up until this point, because it does seem like something. It's like, if you're playing Neeko support, this should be like one of the main things you're looking for all the time. It's just so strong.
Yep. No, I completely agree. I mean, that's how I've felt the whole time, ever since I saw it the first time, which was like, I think the first time I saw it getting popular in pro play was Caps doing it, but I'd seen it for a while before that. And I was just always wondering, why are you not doing this? You can do it almost every single game. The answer to it is that if you CC the Neeko, it breaks the cannon thing, right? But like, even that means that you then have to spend your CC on the Neeko that has already used her spells, because they like EQ and then press the cannon and go into it. So then you're saying, okay, even if you're Leona or whatever, I have to now like flash on this person and Q stun them while the AD carry is just free hitting my AD carry, and I had to use all my spells to do that. And it's like in the case where it looked super egregious against FlyQuest, it was against Lucian Nami, obviously, right? So he just popped heal and used the move speed to dodge bubble, which is just easy to do. But yeah, I mean, it's like so clearly broken that it looks comical, right? Like when you're watching it, it just looks stupid. To see them, they can tank. I think it's 8 tower shots, if not more, even at like level 1 through 3. If you're full HP and you use heal, it's at least, I think, 8. So it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I think most other champs taking 8 turret shots at level 3 would probably get killed 8 times over or something. Like, that is, I don't know.
You're an enchantment.
I don't expect that
like
one to
like
stay around for too much longer.
Like, it's just so stupid. Plus, I mean, there's so many things with Neeko that just shouldn't be in the game. The R flash is questionable. The clones being able to scout out brushes has been super questionable. It's like, this champion has been so
Dude, the
OP
one with the
year.
emotes, the clone lasting longer if you're like emoting on it or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, this champ has definitely been like a bit of a nightmare. Especially like, I would hate to play against that as a pro player. It's like, hey man, count the minions in this wave. Oh, like, make sure you have full vision like on all the minions walking in to make sure there isn't like a 4th melee minion in the front, because there's sometimes where you actually can't see all the melees before the Neeko is just flashing you as a minion, and it's just like, all right, well played, man.
Yep. And then we saw some pretty cool stuff, though. I will say, CFO doing the Realm War Pop Blossom, that was really cool.
Yeah,
I like interactions like that. I think that's
oh man,
really
but that play specifically, that was a good Rise play, but I think it also just goes to show that like FlyQuest wasn't playing how they know how to play, because something that we've actually seen a lot at Worlds so far is like, so in LTA playoffs, there was a lot of like really bad outacons from our top teams, right? Like C9 had some disastrous outacons where teams are just like starting it, the other team is right there, and then you get contested and wiped. But this World, something that has surprised me is that like teams are doing the thing where like they just start autocon with the other team nearby, but it's just been working more often than not. And something that I've noticed is what they're doing is they're like at least having a pink in the try bush and not letting the other team just sit in the try. And they're also pulling autocon all the way to the other side. so that it's much more difficult for the other team to contest. But that FlyQuest situation where they got the like Realm War Pop Blossom, they did the exact opposite. They had control of the Tribush. They gave it up once CFO came over, which is really where you need to be contesting them. And they pulled Otacon toward the Tribush. So it's like, how are you expecting to get a successful Otacon when they have full vision of it and they're just in range immediately? So that's just one of those things that when you see it, you're just like, dude, like, I'm sure they know that's not what you're supposed to do, but obviously in the heat of the moment, you can lose sight of some of that stuff. So, yep, it sucked.
I mean, they
Big
also had just used all of their ults, and then as the enemy team is approaching, they're all just walking around it in circles, like, oh, like man, okay. I think we need to like not super deep dive on this series because we're gonna keep on like asking for comms and be like, what is going on inside this team right now? Like, what are they saying to each other? Like, what went on yesterday? Like, yeah, cause there are so many like head scratcher or head banger moments of like, what in the hell is going on with that team? So honestly, I think we could put a nice little bow on our sad,
On our piece of shit.
yeah, on our piece of dog poop, where
Oh my
we
God.
got eliminated. We deserve to get eliminated. Fair enough. We're gonna take it. And we should move on to the teams that are still in the tournament. But we should also take a quick little break.
Ready, set, go!
I'm at 47%.
Oh, I'm on 63%.
Man, I'm at 50%. Boom! 80%. Winner! The Kia EV9 can go from 10% charge to 80% charge in just 24 minutes with DC fast charging.
Welcome back to the dive driven by Kia. Let's talk about the quarterfinals. First one we can start with is going to be on Tuesday. It is HLE versus Gen.G. It's the LCK rematch. Honestly, I was kind of sad to see this. I just think that the region kill ones are just so much more boring. But let's be honest, there's 4 LCK teams in the quarters, so the chances of having one were pretty damn high.
After every draw, I'm thinking, why don't we just rig this? I mean, if we don't tell anybody and like you can do some stuff with the balls, like I feel like it'd be so easy to rig it and just have like amazing draws every time. But clearly we don't because we do get team kills and stuff all the time. So at least I guess that lends some honor to our some integrity to our process here. But yeah, I mean, HLE versus Gen.G is mega stacked. I feel like that side of the bracket is definitely super stacked as well. It does mean it's going to be a super hype quarterfinal. I mean, people always kind of complain about Worlds, just the format in general, as it's a good format for determining the single best team in the world, but it's not necessarily like, oh, the exact order of who was the second best, who was the third best, who was the fourth best type thing. It is single elimination, and there's like the randomness and kind of adds some excitement, I guess, as far as that goes, and adds possibilities for longer runs for some teams and upsets and stuff like that. But as far as this actual matchup, it should be a banger to see the finals rematch. I mean, I feel like Gen.G is playing really well. Everyone expects them to be tournament favorites coming in, and I feel like they're a team that has definitely delivered on pre-tournament expectations. There's a lot of teams that have not delivered on pre-tournament expectations, but Gen.G for sure have.
They look like the clear best team right now. Even though they did drop a game to AL, it was a best of 1, and it was an extremely close game. So I think their match against Top Esports just kind of shows, it doesn't seem close to me. I think if I was putting money on this, I would absolutely go with Gen.G here, even though like they could very well just have to beat the entire LCK to get there. Like they could play HLE round 1 and then KT in the semis and then maybe finals against T1, which would be really hype. But I mean, they've done that before a lot, right? It's like they beat these guys in LCK all the time. So yeah, I mean it's looking pretty good for Gen.G. However, obviously they haven't managed to perform at Worlds in the past, even when they look really good. So the pressure's a very real thing, and it's something that they're going to have to be able to deal with.
This is the year, Chovy!
It could be. It could be. I mean, they're looking so good right now. But, you know, like you said, single elimination, it just takes one bad day. And that could be the end of your run. So we're going to have to see if they can make it happen this year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just also the fact that these teams are so familiar with each other. I mean, of course, you know, when Zeka won Worlds before, people were not expecting it, right? Like, they were supposed to be this weaker, LCK team that was supposed to get knocked out early. But Chovy, his head-to-head against Zeka all time, 63 and 23. So, like, it's been super one-sided. They basically never beat them in the LCK. In the, like, winners group good versus group bad. They beat them every single time. So it just feels like this is a team that kind of has their number. I do think it's going to be interesting because I also felt like coming into Worlds, a lot of people had this feeling that, okay, yeah, Gen.G's clearly the best team, but if there was a way to beat them, it's probably Canyon because he's kind of less active. And like maybe if you have a super good jungler, you can kind of take advantage of that early, get ahead. People are selling it as a long shot still, but like that was something that had happened to them in the LCK when they lost. But I feel like Canyon has actually been looking way more proactive at Worlds and getting really involved in the early games and still like team fighting super well and doing all these things. So it's kind of like the one thing that people were pointing to as a potential weakness for them has just not really been a weakness for them at Worlds. They did obviously drop the one best of one to AL, but like AL has been competitive with them before, so losing one best of one I don't think really means that much. They absolutely astro blasted T1, like that was a mega stomp, and this team has just been looking, really, really good. I think so. I feel like it's probably going to be super one-sided against HLE, but I also feel bad for HLE because I know talking to a lot of people at the event, a number of people were telling me they thought like before the quarters draw that HLE was the second best team so far at Worlds, right? So it's like a lot of people were predicting that this could actually be a World Finals because T1 has been super shaky. Of course, we'll get to that later. Maybe T1 magic and they just win Worlds again. AL is another question, but to me, I felt like those were the three that most people were looking at. Even though KT went 3-0, people just don't really believe in KT, I guess. So, I feel bad for HLE if they just get stomped out by Gen.G. It's like, yeah, we might still be crowning the best team, as you said, but this is maybe the second or third best team, and they're probably going to go out, like, in the round of 8.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get skins for 8th place or 2nd place, so to some degree, it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, I mean, if you are the second best team, obviously you wouldn't want to get 8th. That would kind of suck. But should be a good match.
Yeah, I do think HLE have a chance. So like, as much as it's like, oh, doom and gloom, you have to play versus Gen.G. I mean, I do think they have a good chance. Like, they have really good individual players. They just need to bring it all together at the same time. I mean,
by tier.
and everybody's gonna remind Zeka from now on, whenever he plays Rise. Honestly, I don't think he's ever going to he'll probably buy more tiers on other champions that don't even build tiers now because he's going to be traumatized because everyone's been making fun of him. But yeah, like Viper of course is like the most reliable on the team and has been playing super well. And so if they can have everyone else like play to their peaks, these players' peaks are insane. Zeus, I think Zeus' peak is best top player in the world for sure. Peanut can be an amazing facilitator jungler. Really, really good, being super active, really smart, plays lots of frontline, can get very good engages, can get lanes ahead early. Zeka, as we talked about, has been able to win Worlds before when people didn't think he could do it then. So I think it is a possibility here. And obviously it's really hard versus Gen.G. I mean, it's just like, do we just go to the KT blueprint? Because that's not really a blueprint. That's like, oh, BDD and Cuz played way better than Chovy and Canyon did in that game. Like, how do you like replicate that? Is like, like good luck. Like it's so hard to draw up the blueprint ahead of time to destabilize this team. I just think you have to have 5 really good players that are all playing at their peaks at that moment, at that time. And it's not that's the other side of it not being double elimination is if one team does that at the right time, it has to be a full best of 5, but if one team can do that versus Gen.G and knock them out, every other team in the tournament is like, "Thank you. You're here. We love you."
Yeah, I mean, I feel like not only do you have to have an insane team that are playing at their peak, but Gen.G also probably has to have a bad day, right? Like they probably have to play below their level too. I mean, the KT blueprint is basically, try to like play really really aggressive in jungle, have incredible performances, snowball the early game, and try to put them in a spot where they can't just team fight their way out of it. Because in the LCK, there was a number of games where they would get put behind, but then their team fighting was so good that it just didn't really matter. Like they weren't as dominant in the early game because Canyon wasn't that active in this most recent split, but their team fighting and their objective setups are just so insane that it never really has mattered. But if you can build that advantage and then they're not playing as well, or you can just go Super Saiyan and play even better, then yeah, you have a chance. And I mean, Viper is someone that like does have that ability to take over a game and have some of the best mechanics in the world. So I mean, I think it should be an exciting series, but I just always feel like when you have that familiarity, it was kind of like with BLG, right? I feel like BLG was having a horrendous event. Bin was looking terrible, but then they go and they play against TES, and then it actually they looked more like themselves, right? Because of that familiarity. So I do feel like that really works against HLE because Gen.G's I don't think going to be shaking in their boots playing against HLE. This is a team that they've played against so many times, and it's not Faker. So I feel like they're probably going to be in their comfort zone. And in my mind, I wouldn't be surprised if this is like 3-0 or maybe 3-1.
Yeah. I don't think it's too hot of a take. It seems kind of expected. The thing that I think I'm kind of keeping my eye on for this like quarterfinals and the rest of worlds is some of the champs getting played, especially in mid lane. Like the mid lane champ pools to me have been like the biggest question mark, I think, because there has been so many nerfs over this season to the top mid laners to the point where a lot of them feel kind of like shells of themselves. It's like you're just playing a weaker version of this champion. And so I'm wondering, is there like more opportunity to bring in champs that haven't been played as much? Because I think, champs like LeBlanc, Zoe as well, that was something that, talking about KT beating Gen.G, like BDD had like the most insane Zoe game and just hard carried. And so I think there is definitely some room to like cook a little bit with the mid lane picks because, people are still doing like Azir, Talia, Ryze, Annie, Orianna, and like all of these champs have been nerfed several times. So I think there definitely could be some innovation there or like, maybe just better reads on what's good.
I mean, 100% we're going to see that tier of champs moving forward because now we're in best of 5s. So, we like slowly progress through this tournament. We're like, okay, best of 1s. Everybody's spamming Orianna and Azir's getting super banned. And the other people, when Orianna's also banned, are playing Ryze mostly type stuff. But best of 5 Fearless, oh yeah, we're going to get more LeBlancs. We may get a Zoe. We may get a Lissandra as well. That one was popping up. So I feel like, yeah, best Fearless, I feel like we can't really live without it anymore. And it's not really Fearless until we're best of 5s and we get the full like selection of champions later. And so I 100% agree with you. Like we're going to see a lot more variation there. It's just like we haven't really delved that deep down. Plus, we had like a lot of Caitlyn and stuff at the beginning of the tournament, but then people started to back off. And so we'll get more like different types of side lanes as well. Lane swaps are still going to be super prevalent, but we've seen like Caitlyn is amazing when you like if you call the lane swap and you get the 1v1 up there. Masu was playing like Corki into the Caitlyn or whatever and got dumpstered by like what was it, early game like 12, 15, maybe even 20.
Yeah, I think
yes,
it was like 48-24. Like he was getting doubled at that point. He had to like
yeah.
take a recall for a tier and no consumables. It was not good.
Yeah, so like side lane stuff with these types of lane swaps. Honestly, these lane swaps haven't really pissed me off yet or as much. Because some of the AD carries laning I think has been kind of fun. I guess Doggo with the Draven and solo killing people and stuff made it super hype. But or maybe it's the fact that I know that these lane swaps will not survive to next season, and so it's just like a small period of time, and it hasn't been like the same thing over and over. So there's still kind of that element of like, ooh, it's kind of there's still a little excitement there. Plus, some teams are messing it up. Kaiwing went early to the lane to top lane and messed up the 4-minute lane swap detection. Didn't end up hurting them. They still stomped us and and beat FlyQuest in that game. But it's I think there's a lot more fun stuff that we're gonna see since we are getting into the best of fives. More champion variation plus lots of different strategies.
I think my one frustration with it still is just that I feel like it makes top lane picks boring because you can't actually do any interesting top lane counters, or you're just going to get lane swapped on, right? And so I think that's been the one thing that kind of frustrates me with it. Is just that I feel like it locks you in this. You must play super standard generic top laners because if you try to bust out Fiora against a tank or whatever, guaranteed it's the lane swap, right? You're just laning against an AD carry.
Well, what if you just have to have more confidence in gambling on lane swaps, and calling lane swaps and getting to level one wards? Like, what if you intentionally draft Poppy Anivia lane? It's like an Anivia top or whatever, and you intentionally have like a Poppy support, and then they end up laning together, and then like I don't know. And there's more stuff. Obviously, having it be because it basically will come down to gambling. At the end of the day, it's people guessing which lane you're going to or whatever. And that probably does feel bad for a single elimination tournament to be like gambling in very important games on lanes and stuff like that. But yeah,
That is the worst part about lane swaps when you're actually playing it. It's like just that pure 50-50. You can do like some degree of mind games with invades and vision, but at the end of the day, they could just walk directly from base to the lane they want to go to and just hope it's the right one. So yeah, not the best gameplay, but
Yeah.
I do agree with you, Kobe, that it hasn't been terrible, right? Like we've still seen some good moments, and it's not leading to like these like super standoffish like stalemate games. So
It also hasn't
not the worst.
hasn't been that much. I think it's only like 20 or 25% of games, something like that. Like it hasn't been a crazy amount as far as like the level one lane swap, right? Obviously, people very quickly like level minute 4, minute 5, whatever they go top and that sort of stuff. But just like the starting in different lanes from level one hasn't been that prevalent, so hasn't been too bad. The next series is KT versus CFO. I'm honestly, I feel like I'm kind of just cheering for CFO now, because it's just such a cool story, right? Like no one from LCP had qualified to quarterfinals in 10 years, which is just insane how long it has been. And this team is legit really good. Um, so they're just so fun to actually cheer for and to watch. I feel like obviously I was sad that we lost to them, but like Doggo busting out the Draven and doing this kind of very unique build and like the way that they're actually playing with so much confidence, so much swagger, I think is really cool. Um, Everyone loves Driver and his dances and everything are really funny. Like I do think this team definitely has holes, and I am still, even though they beat us with Sion, let alone not even getting Sion, I don't think FlyQuest played well at all. And so I am definitely concerned for them as far as drafting goes in best of five, because even in the LCP, it was an issue for them where, they'd sub in one top laner and then people know what they're going to play. And then they just kind of ban that guy's best stuff because they had smaller pools. So I don't think they should get Sion ever again. And I do think that they are going to get kind of targeted in that way, which I think is going to make things more difficult for them. But they've just been really fun so far. And I know even though KT went 3-0, all the KT fans are always going to be like permanently nervous that this team is about to have a KT moment and choke or throw or whatever. So it's, I mean, it's weird to say about a 3-0 team, but just like no one respects KT as the 3-0 team. So it kind of feels like this is one of the easier draws they could have gotten, right? Like even though they went 3-0, I feel like everyone would rather play them than like Gen.G or HLE or AL or probably even T1, etc.
Yeah, they definitely seem like they're the lowest of the best teams, right? It's like they're better than the Western teams, but probably not as good as the other LCK and LPL teams. Because even though they 3-0'd, their early games have been real shaky. I think against top esports, I think they were like looking better, but I know against like MKOI and TSW, which were teams that, had quite early departures, they were like getting 2-3K gold behind in the early game, which, if you can just have miracle team fights, you can overcome that. But when you're up against stronger teams, that's not likely to happen. So, yeah, it definitely seems like if you can't really get your early game under control, that's going to make it super hard to win. So we're going to have to see. I would still expect them to be better than CFO because to me, CFO, when I look at CFO, I feel like Junjia and Doggo are insanely good. Like, possibly in the running for like best in their role in the entire tournament. Like, they have been so good, every single game. That being said, I think their top lanes still looking kind of sus. Like, I think it was Driver game 1 against FlyQuest was down like 100 plus CS playing like fasting Rumble, just following his team around, which I don't think that's a super reliable way to win games. I feel like that's not great. And Rest as well. Like, I think I don't really know how good Perfect is. I think he's, from what I've seen and heard, he's like, not the best top laner, but he's still probably pretty good, right? So I think CFO's top side might have some trouble there. But I don't think it's out of the possibility that they could win. But
I also think Kaiwing has no hands anymore. I also feel like Kaiwing, like he's really smart, but I feel like he has no hands, man. Some of it, the Leona game, I think it was, that he was playing against Fly. I feel like he missed like 40 ultimates in a row. Like, it was just crazy.
It's okay.
yeah,
Though.
so
Then he got the point blank on quad. And you just cue him in the face.
yeah, it was really well played by somebody there. Not sure who.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super on the hype train for CFO, and I think I'm right there with you as far as that's who I'm cheering for now. I will say, Honkyu, I'm super high on him. He has definitely had some blooper moments also. I still think he's super good. I mean, he's only 18 years old, and his peak is super, super high. But going versus BDD, that is really, 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 really extraordinarily tough. Feel like BDD is just insane. So Honkyu cannot afford to have some of the mistakes that we have seen from him here, even though he's had a lot of really good games also and a lot of really good plays. I think the biggest difference between these two teams is the clash you guys kind of started talking about between early game and late game. Because like you guys are talking about KT, yeah, their early game has been bad and their late game's been much better than all the teams that they've played. But for CFO, I feel like that's opposite strengths and weaknesses. Their early game has been quite good. And then in the times where CFO have failed, it has been in approaching these objectives late game and then playing out those later game team fights because of the way that they approached. Like either someone went too early, someone took a bunch of damage unnecessarily. They didn't have vision ahead of time and they're like trying to catch up on timings. It's like something like that where in the late game when it's so critical for you to have really good approaches to these super valuable objectives that are going to determine the game. I feel like that is exactly where CFO could fail. And so both these teams I feel like have their mismatched. Their strength is where the other person's weakness is, and their weakness is where the other person's strength is. So I want to see if that's how this series actually does play out, because I'm kind of with you guys where I'm defaulting to I think that KT. I would feel safer if my team is the team that wins late game, because I feel like it is harder to execute when you need to win early and then win quickly or steamroll or something. That being said, I don't. It's not impossible for CFO to, fix some of their objective approaches later in the game. I think that's very, very probable, possible, and even probable for this team. So I honestly think this is going to be a really, really good and one of the closer series that we have drawn. But man, BDD versus Honkyu, that is a big one. Honkyu even talked about BDD being his idol, so that's always super cool and super cute. And I think it's well deserving too. Like if you're gonna choose a mid lane idol, Faker and Chovy have the most fans, but BDD is so insanely good that I just we're gonna get a fun matchup.
Yeah, I mean they also went 5 against T1 and MSI, right? So this team clearly can do it. Like they have shown that they can do it, and I think it's gonna be really exciting. Like I feel like a lot of people are gonna be super favoring Doggo over Docdam, which I think is somewhat reasonable. But Docdam I also think is quite solid on a lot of the utility picks, and so I'll be interested to see what KT's strategy is. Like, are they just gonna have Docdam and Peter kind of play more like neutralizers? Just play stuff with really good wave clear and whatnot that has good range. It's like harder to punish, that kind of stuff. Like, is he just playing Jin, Varus, Sivir, like these types of picks, and just trying to make it so Doggo can't snowball? Because I feel like Doggo with a lead is actually insane. Like this guy plays on the limit so well. Like plays in the face of the other team when he gets a lead. Like on Corki, he was insane. His Draven games have been insane. Um, he's just pushing advantages so incredibly well. So that would be what I would be really worried about if I was KT, would really be the bot lane, because as good as Honkyu is, as good as Gen.G is, I mean, BDD and Cuz I just think are better than them. And so to me, it's like, I think the bot lane would be kind of a pretty big decider here. If CFO can't create advantages, I think through Doggo, I just don't think that they would be beating KT.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where I kind of see it being really hard for CFO to win, because even in a perfect world where somehow KT does not prepare for you and you're getting like a Doggo Corki game, you're getting a Doggo Draven game, you still need, like, it's, if you win both those, you still need to win another one. And Doggo, like, he's done well on picks like Ezreal, Lucian, Caitlyn, Kaisa, I think are the other ones, but they're not as good. Like, they don't have as much agency. I feel like Corki and Draven they have a lot of agency as far as like, what he's been doing with them, like, where he just kind of like runs at you and just either chunks out your AD carry or kills them and just gets really ahead and is able to do a lot. But I think on other picks, especially like from the AD carry role, you don't always have those options. So I think KT's probably going to understand CFO's strengths and try to not let him have those situations. And if he doesn't have that, we'll have to see how strong CFO looks.
Yeah, I mean, at least for KT, it was interesting because obviously they played mostly at the beginning of the tournament, so it's been a while. So they've gotten to watch because they went out 3-0. They were through so early, so they get the luxury of kind of watching as people develop their own metas and studying the other teams a little bit. And KT, they were one of the teams that immediately just spammed Caitlyn. They were Caitlyn Oriana. I think Caitlyn Oriana for multiple games for them. And Doctum gave the interview talking about how they wanted to utilize the Caitlyn. He didn't have the greatest early games with it, but they utilized it quite well. Scaling into the later game. And so it'll be interesting to see how the draft actually goes, because they're kind of contesting some of the picks too. So yeah, that one will definitely be fun. Next up is G2 versus TES. I saw all the celebrations. All the G2 fans are so happy to draw TES, and honestly, I think they're correct that they should be happy to draw TES, because TES and BLG were looking pretty fraudulent. They had their own little fraud off to be able to move to quarterfinals, and TES ended up winning that one. But like G2, they have a good history versus TES, and I think like they're just all like so excited for this matchup. This one definitely has the possibility, like Europe could straight up go to semifinals. It would feel even worse for us because we're out so early from the tournament, and I know they're gonna rub it in our faces and be like, "Oh, we got semifinals again." If they do, But yeah, I honestly think G2 actually has a pretty good shot at it. TES, their early games are insane. Kanavi, this guy is so good. Even coming into the tournament, I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. We get to see him absolutely just pop off, and he has a lot in the early game. But they keep on throwing in like even vastly different ways in their games after getting a lot of early leads. So this either way, we get to like make a lot of memes while we're watching this series. That's for sure.
Dude, I am a Jackie Love doubter after watching their games so far at Worlds. This guy seems like the biggest liability AD carry. He gets caught like none other. So I don't know. I mean, Top did beat G2 pretty handedly in
I
like
mean,
the very first game of the tournament in
G2
best of
didn't do
one.
anything that entire game.
Yeah. So I still think, like when it's a Western team up against an Eastern team, it's going to be probably an uphill battle. But
But G2's
that being
3-0
said,
them before. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think this one's very winnable for G2. This one, I would probably say this is the closest match for me as far as like the team's strengths go for the quarterfinals, just because I don't know. I'm not very sold on top esports right now. I think that if they didn't get BLG, there's a really high chance they wouldn't have even made it to quarterfinals with how they were playing. I think they just had some really, really sketchy games. I thought in the BLG series that Cream played really well. Like I was impressed by him. But yeah, Jackie Love, I don't know. He was kind of like turbo throwing game one, even after his team was like, level 3 ganking for him and then 5-manning him at level 6, getting really ahead. And he was just dying in really creative ways. Game 2, he was like a legitimate passenger Varus, like didn't do a single thing. And so I'm doubting Jackie Love. I know he's a good player, but I think maybe this tournament his form's not on point. So
yeah.
I definitely have my eye on him.
I mean, I think it's totally reasonable to doubt him, especially like the Lucian game against BLG, where Kanavi could not have done more for him. 369 could not have done more for him. Like Kanavi, level 3 ganks bot, gets him ahead. Then they managed to get into a bad lane state, even with the early gank, and they're kind of like stuck in this lane with Lucian out of mana. So then 369 TP's bot to take over that wave, so he could just go bot and catch the wave that 369 had bounced. Then they go all these members top, and 369 uses TP to fix his wave top because their wave is messed up again top. And it's like their entire team is just pumping everything into Jackie Love Lucian. And then it's like, what do you get back out of it? He just does nothing, right? Like that game was really rough. Like
Yeah, I mean, there was the situation he died at Dragon because he walked into Xinjiao, face checked him for some reason while his team was there. And like, you messed up when as Lucian, with his team nearby, he used flash and died pretty much solo to his Xinjiao who didn't even have to flash on him. Like, Shadow just held his flash the entire time. So when I saw it, I was just like, dude, that is not an okay mistake to be making, especially when your team's putting resources into you. So, yeah, I mean, he's got some work to do.
I think Hong has had some horrible games too. He's had some good ones, but he's had some really horrible ones. I mean, we talked about it before from like, Swiss One and stuff, but like the Neeko games and whatnot have been shocking. I think 369 is doing quite well. I think, Cream definitely against BLG, I thought played really well. And I think that was big for them because it was Cream versus Knight, and Knight kind of like, it always feels like he has his number, and, Knight had been performing so well. So especially in that game 3 where they had this like weird ass cobbled together comp where, I was casting that one and I was like, well, Smolder's pretty good into Galio, but I just felt like it was kind of like too risky because they didn't know if the Galio was going to go top or if it was going to go mid. And then they just slam Mord Smolder. And I was like, I think it's kind of cool. Like you have really good lane matchups, but your comp feels really kind of disjointed because there's this Kiana now with this like double AD carry kind of comp that would want to peel back. And then you have a Mord in there. But they actually played out this pretty, I thought, difficult to execute comp really, really well, where Kanavi would just kind of like peel the diving Wukong or whatever, or someone who would fly in and just kind of like burst them down. And 369 was kind of just like getting in their face and acting as frontline. Like I thought they actually played that really well, and I thought Cream was kind of monster carrying on the Smolder.
Yeah, I actually thought I think 369 to me has been if I take all the games into account, has been their best player.
Better than Kami.
Because Kanavi has made a lot of mistakes later. Kanavi always had these really good early games, but 369 in the game you're mentioning, the Mordekaiser one, 369, he kept on ulting Wukong, and so he like the Wukong like couldn't play at all. I just thought 369's been really like smart with how he's been able to play for the rest of the team. That's the thing with TES though. None of them have really been consistent, and so I'm like, oh yeah, this guy had a really good game, or that guy had a really good game, and then that guy also had a really bad game. So that's why it's kind of hard to pin down who is, who is going to deliver on the day. Because I've had doubts at different times for all of the different players.
Something for G2 that I actually really like, I mean, is their drafting. I think they've actually been really good with their drafting. Last time we talked about the Anivia Poppy stuff that they did against BLG. I thought that was actually really, really strong. And I felt like they outdrafted FlyQuest pretty hard. I thought that the Mundo was actually really smart where they did it. And I've honestly really liked the way that they are drafting. And I think especially when you're going to a best of 5, that can be super advantageous because they feel like they have a lot of flexible players and players that are willing to do, these different things. Obviously, they have like from LEC and, they have this like Kled Zion stuff. And now they brought out the Anivia and the Poppy and they've done the Mundo Jungle and they're doing these like different looks that I think can be quite strong situationally. So I do think that's something that could really work in their favor in the best of 5. Of course, I do think Jungle's like a pretty big stylistic mismatch because to me, Skumon plays more like Inspired, where he kind of just farms, and he doesn't really have much of an effect in the early game. I know Kanavi is like number 1 in the tournament for first blood percentage. He's like always finding first bloods, finding early kills. Skumon, I think, was 12th or 13th out of 16. He's just not really very active, and so that is something that I think they're going to have to contend with. It doesn't mean that like being more farm heavy is inherently worse or anything, but you have to be able to make sure that your lanes aren't falling behind and like covering these ganks, at least trying to track the enemy jungler and finding ways so Kanavi doesn't just like snowball the game, right? Because I think that would be a concern when you have two people who play so differently to me.
Yeah, I think that like Kanavi's definitely gonna have an edge over Skumon in this one, which you'd expect him to. He's super experienced, and Skumon's still pretty new to all this stuff. I think he's been doing well, but I don't know. Kanavi is just so good, and also I think having the ability to play Qiyana jungle well is a huge asset to these teams because a lot of teams like picking Trundle blind because it can deter some of the top lane picks. He's also just like a really strong duelist. But I think Qiyana has been kind of like the preferred answer into a blind pick Trundle just since you farm so fast. And if you do it right, you can get a big XP lead on the Trundle just from clear speed. Then also, you're slippery enough to not have any trouble with his pillar. You're not giving him a million resist from the ult and just getting stat checked. So I think that's a really good answer. And I don't know if we've seen Skumon play it. I would imagine most people who have it prepared would have brought it out by now. So, I think stylistically, it should be good for Kanavi.
Yeah, ain't no way we're gonna get a Skumon Qiyana compared to a Kanavi Qiyana. Like Kanavi Qiyana is like the top, the 10 out of 10. I feel like
he did feed a little bit in that BLG game on it.
He did.
It kind of felt like he was playing desperately and feeding hard, but he did still make some good plays throughout the game while feeding.
I think
which is really good.
I think this one is going to be like, can G2 withstand the early game? Because TS are so good at getting early game leads. I feel like that is going to be something that's really hard to contest at all. And so then it's going to be more about how can you mitigate it and not let it get out of control, and then bring your mid game or late game game plan that you have drafted for and that you craft to be able to find the win. I feel like that kind of has to be the breaking point. And I mean, some of the plan could be like, hey, if we're really out of luck, like just look for Jackie Love around mid lane. Like maybe we'll be able to catch him or something.
Look for mid lane, look for him top lane, look for him bot lane.
Yeah.
If I'm G2, I'm going to be like, all right, how can we get Jackie Love on the most immobile champ with us having the most ability to kill him repeatedly and just do that? Because, dude, I don't know. I could see that working. He's had a good time dying everywhere so far this tournament.
Yeah. Or he could just clean it up and just be the GOAT, and he could just goat it up and blast you. So we'll see.
He could.
I mean, definitely based on the tournament, though, G2's bot lane has been better. Like, for sure. I mean, Hong has been horrible overall, I think, and Jackie Love has just been super up and down. So I definitely feel like G2 has the advantage there. And, when you talk about early game being so important and being able to be stable, that's, again, where I feel like draft becomes such a big thing, right? Where it's like, if you can draft things that are kind of surprising and are like neutralizing or mitigating some of the picks that they're going for, it really can give you such an easier time going forward. And I mean, the Kanavi Kiana obviously did come out in that final game, but it was also banned 6 times in a row before that. So it's like, I feel like that's probably more what G2 will do, is probably that'll be a permaban, unless they have something that they're like, okay, this is really going to shut it down, and like we can kind of match it in this way. So I definitely give them credit. I think that they're a good drafting team, and I think it's going to be an exciting series. I mean, honestly, it feels really hard to predict because top could just completely flop and get blasted. But I also feel like if they're playing really well and Jackie Love isn't inting, they have such a strong early game that they could really look more like what we saw already in the best of one, which was like a super one-sided game. Like, I know everyone from Europe was celebrating, and I would be too. I think that they have a real shot of winning. But also, that was a mega one-sided game when they played before, right? So you definitely can't just like underestimate them and just assume that it's a guaranteed win just because they've been throwing in some of the other late games. The last one is AL versus T1, which I think should be a lot of fun. I feel like, to me, this was the one I was like thinking is going to be the best game, like the best match. But it is funny because that's just kind of like my sense based on, I think AL is playing really well. T1's been shaky, but it's always so weird though talking about like struggles with T1 because it just feels like every time they struggle, it just kind of like doesn't matter. But this is the first time ever that they've lost more than one game in Swiss or groups in 10 years of Worlds. They've never lost more than one game. So they had that going against them. They also only beat Western teams to get out. They didn't beat CFO and they didn't beat AL. They lost to both those teams. It was just best of ones, but still, they didn't win a game against an LPL or LCK team to get out of groups. So they did have kind of a fraudulent run. If we're gonna flame FlyQuest or BLG or whatever for their runs, you got to do the same for T1. But all that being said, they've also 3-0'd. Is it 3 times or 4 times in a row the LPL teams that they've played at Worlds? I can't remember. It's 3 or 4 times in a row without dropping a game in best of fives against LPL.
Well, are you counting IG? Because IG won 1 game versus them.
Oh, true.
In the play-ins.
True, it is play-ins. I guess I wasn't even thinking about that. It was like just like a stat I'd seen for main stage Worlds, because obviously T1 versus LPL, like that is always the narrative. They're on the LPL side of the bracket again, and it's just, I guess, it just always feels stupid talking about it in a way because everything I have watched shows me that they should lose. But you're also like, I've seen it so many times before, the same thing, and then they just win. So you're like, what am I predicting on? Am I just predicting on just like history and magic, or am I predicting on what I watched?
Also,
magic.
Faker in the last series. Okay, yeah, you gave Faker Rise, and you gave Faker Azir, like 2 of his most iconic champions. But that was straight up some vintage Faker coming out, and maybe it's more worrying because he actually had to carry the rest of T1. I feel like it was so weird. Like all of the other members, even the ones that have been consistent.
Area was not good.
Owner's been good, and then like Owner was making a lot of mistakes, and Guma was making some crazy mistakes. That teleport into the Mordekaiser and then getting Mordekaiser ulted and instantly blasted. I was like, what is going on? But then the whole series, Baker is just actually goating it up, and it's just like, oh my goodness. He's like, the Azir is just like blasting JoJo. Wait, first of all, I was like, okay, for sure, JoJo is like our best Western mid lane laner. Like the laning phase, he's gonna attack Faker. Faker's laning phase hasn't been good, and like Faker just wins laning phase on his ear, and then is like making all these plays also. And Faker didn't die a whole time the whole series. I'm pretty sure, right? He at least didn't die on the Rise game, and I'm
He had no
pretty
deaths,
sure he
yeah.
didn't die in the Azir game either. So that was some crazy stuff from T1. But I had been thinking that AL looked really, really good, and better than I expected them to look even coming into the tournament. They are another team that only had to win win one very quickly. They immediately went 3-0 and went out. And so they've also have this luxury that we were talking about KT having of watching all the other teams. So getting the extra time to plan their draft and their strategy. And Tabe, if you give him a lot of extra time, like he is really going to cook on draft. And so I feel like AL is going to come in with a very good like draft attack plan versus T1. And for a best of 5, I think T1 definitely could be a team that you can attack in a super long, like best of 5 fearless draft. So I think this is actually so scary for T1 going against AL with a bunch of prep time.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me though, I'm still gonna lean T1 with not like guaranteed winning, but I would put pretty good odds on T1 just because like all that stuff we're talking about with them just winning, it happens every single time. Like T1 never just full chokes when they need to win. It's so crazy because the other play that we didn't talk about was the 100 Thieves game on his Talia, where he just basically solo brought back that game 1. Granted, it started a little slow. He got solo killed by Quid. He died again afterwards, but there was that one fight near Baron where I really thought 100 Thieves had it there. Like, they killed Guma. I think they killed Doran or something. Maybe it was Keria.
Doran was still
but
alive.
basically, like, yeah. So it must have been Keria. So, but either way, it seemed like 100 Thieves just had this really insane engage, and they were in a position, to win the fight, and they probably could have ended if they won decisively there. And then Faker somehow just hits like a 3-man Talia combo right as Silas's Zonius is ending, and then Faker gets off his own Zonius at really low HP and just completely won the fight because Doran was on her neck and was able to just AoE everyone down there. But that kind of stuff, I'm just like, holy hell, man! Like, that is such a disgusting thing to do. And the whole game, his Talia W's just seemed like they were not skill shots. Like, it was just targeted abilities. Yeah, dude, like anyone who's played Talia, that is not an ability that's easy to hit without setup. Like, it is so easy to just whiff that. You could whiff every single W in a game and, be like, yeah, happens, but not Faker. So I don't know. I've just seen him do it too many times. Something about it, like rather than the debuff most players get from the pressure, it just builds him up. So, yeah, I think AL's got a pretty tall task ahead of him with that one.
I mean, I'm with you on the Faker edge because Faker, even individually, like you were saying, is playing super well individually, and Faker never chokes. He always has made at least semis every single time he goes to Worlds, but it's the teammates. Like, actually, I feel bad saying it, but the teammates have not been good. I mean, Carey had his struggles in the LCK. Doran at times had his struggles in the LCK, but like you said, the guys who had been more stalwart, Guma and Owner, they are even having their struggles. Like, Carey had some crazy ints too, versus Mkoy, just like walking in and dying, super late ults and dying on Alistar, in a number of different games. Doran has had a lot of really bad moments, and he's really struggling. And so it is like, it's a team effort, and maybe they can really get it together. Like, they can. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if they won Worlds, just because, like you said, Meteos, it's happened just a million times, right? Like, they always seem to do it. But I misspoke earlier. Like, AL didn't play T1; they played Gen.G, but they had a really tough road where it's like, they beat both HLE, Gen.G, and then they won against CFO to get through. Like, they had a tough draw. To be able to play against those two of the best teams in the tournament and be able to get through them. And so they're looking really, really good. I feel like Flandre was playing really well. Everyone's kind of saying that he's like the only one who gets the Rek'Sai card and everything. Like, he's one of the only guys who was looking good at it.
Keen gets one too.
Okay.
The LCK players are realizing it. Something that I wish I remember who it was, but there was one Rek'Sai player who was maxing W second. Like everyone's doing
What?
E first, and they were doing W second, and I saw that, and it was like a good player doing it. I was just like, dude, you have not played this champion or read the tooltips. If you're maxing W second, it's like you get like 1 second off the knockup per target, but like you need your Q max. That thing is so much damage, and the cooldown goes way down. So yeah, that was a little weird, but I did see in the most, like, Keen was doing the right thing, and then Doran in his most recent Rek'Sai game is doing better. So I think they're slowly understanding this champ a little bit better. And we just haven't seen that much AL either. And I think that although they did, obviously start with wins against HLE and Gen.G, which is huge, right? It's like taking down two of the best teams at the tournament. I think this was also like the very beginning of the tournament where I think maybe the meta reads weren't totally on point. It was like both of those teams were kind of playing the like Exodia free loss champions, like Cassante, Kaisa. Like it was the one where you looked afterwards and you're just like, wow, people are picking some low win rate champs. And so like obviously AL is still good enough to win, right? Like most teams wouldn't be able to beat them even on those champs. So we're just going to have to see. I mean, they did drop a game to CFO in the best of threes to advance. But yeah, I don't really know what to expect. I think Tabe's a good coach. And he's going to prep well for BO5 Fearless. So I think it's possible, but I would still edge for T1.
Yeah, I know AL definitely struggled in summer and in like the regular split and stuff, and people were like, oh yeah, like they don't have good drafts anymore. Like their meta read isn't very good. Like Shanks individually is not playing it that good anymore, and so they were like not as confident. Like their record in summer like started out pretty bad, and then they kind of got it together. But I thought that so far at Worlds, their games have been quite impressive. So it's like, oh, is this team getting back to what we saw at MSI from them? And that's kind of what I feel like they're headed towards. And so that's why I think this is going to be a super banger matchup.
Yeah, to me, again, like I said, this is the one I was most excited for. I think it should be a really, really good series. I think even if T1 wins, I would be shocked if T1 3-0'd. Like if it was T1 like we've seen in the past, because I just have seen too many problems even at Worlds. Because usually, to be honest, like when you think back to the previous World Championships, when they, are just able to kind of like brush aside mistakes, you usually don't see those mistakes that much at Worlds. It's usually like mistakes from the LCK, and then they get to Worlds, and they very quickly are able to fix all their problems. They drop like one game, and then they're just on it, right? Whereas I feel like this has been way more plaguing them, and it's going into Worlds way more so than I expected, even with like the warm-up of getting to play IG at the start and, having played the maximum amount of games in Swiss and everything. So I think if T1 wins, I think it'll be close. And I think it's going to be a really, really fun series.
Let's do predictions. What's your prediction for this one?
I just feel so stupid not saying T1. But
I mean, I am for sure going to say T1. But I'm not even using the cope of like, oh, it's because it's Worlds or whatever, or whether they're gonna play better. I actually think they're just straight up gonna win, and they're just gonna play well, and they're actually gonna win. It's not even the like.
Yeah, but you don't have a reason. It's because it's at Worlds.
No, it's not because it's at Worlds. Because they actually
have they ever needed a reason before? Has T1 ever needed or had a reason for winning before?
It's because they're playing really good. They only had Owner and Guma play bad in a couple of these games. And Faker is in form, 100%.
They were like struggling their asses off against 100 Thieves and even MCoy in the second game, and like Carriers ran it in some of these games. You said yourself, I mean that TP from the Varus TP that was crazy. I feel like Doran has ran it down a number of different games.
Doran's got no. Doran's got no.
I think the top lane is where I'm worried.
There's no real like. There's nothing you can base it off of at Worlds to say that T1 has looked better or even close to as good as AL.
Faker for sure is in peak form after that last series, and
Faker gets a hall pass.
Shanks is not.
So Faker, it's just Faker. Okay, buddy, you're just admit it. You want to predict because of T1 magic. You can just say it because we're all like you are just an idiot to predict against T1. Like everything is telling me that AL is better, but I still feel like you have to predict T1. Because of the magic. Just say it with me.
Not everything is safe.
Because of the magic.
Not everything is
Because of the magic.
because of the magic.
I've been a Magic believer since day one for T1, all the way. I can see it being a 3-2 though. Like I think Flandre over Doran for me. Like I think Flandre is really good, and Doran is sometimes good. So, yeah, definitely going to be a banger.
Yeah. I mean, we should. I guess we just go backwards, do all the other predictions then, right? Because we didn't do predictions for any of them. Do you want to? G2 TES. Oh man, these are pretty hard actually.
I'll say TES 3-1 on that one.
That's kind of my initial feeling too, to be honest. But I think G2, if they win, it'll be a 3-2, and I think it'll be draft gap. I think if G2 can't get winning drafts, but I think they can. If they can't, then I think they're gonna get like 3-1. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling.
Man. Yeah, I guess I'm leaning towards TES. All right, I'm 3-2 TES. KT CFO. Honestly, I think all of these are close. I'm 3-2 KT, I guess.
I'm going to say 3-0 KT on this one.
I think I'd be 3-1 KT just because I'm really worried about CFO and best of 5 for draft. I think they're a team that you can prepare for pretty well. They have some really clear strengths. Like, I don't think they should ever get signed, and their top laners look a lot worse. I don't think Doggo should be allowed to play some of these ones that he's looked crazy dominant on. So I feel like I'm kind of giving the credit that KT will have good prep. So I'm kind of seeing it as like a 3-1. And then Gen.G, I did say my prediction for that one already, but I feel like that's going to be a 3-0 or a 3-1 just because I feel like Gen.G it's comfort zone versus LCK.
Yeah, I think that one's 3-1.
Yep. I'm going to say, 3-1 Gen.G. Oh, no. Maybe something will happen. Maybe 3-0.
Cool. Well, I think that is going to wrap it up for us here on The Dive, driven by Kia. Be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube so you don't miss an episode of The Dive. Also, leave a comment. Let us know what you want from the next episode. We're going to have another one after semifinals. I believe we'll be back for a World Finals preview. That should be fun. And Worlds returns this Tuesday. It is midnight Pacific, early Tuesday morning. So I guess technically Monday night then? Well, I don't know. Look it up. Just go to LOL Esports schedule. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat some dinner. And it should be a lot of fun. It'll be HLE versus Gen.G, that first matchup. Going to be a banger. We'll see y'all there.